One.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast. Our podcast offers bold commentary on various subject matters with a laser-like focus on the truth. My name is Ray Tampa, and I'm the host of the Ray Tampa podcast. We have in our studio Mr. Russell Cato, a retired educator with more than 40 plus years of experience in Pinellas County, and Mr. Jamie Wilson III, a healthcare provider with more than 25 years working as a physical therapist, my co-host. We're very pleased to have as our guest Mr. Keith MEDARIES and Mr. J.P. Patterson, or James Patterson, two local former student residents of the notorious DOZIER School for Boys. These two gentlemen, along with hundreds of other survivors, are in line to breathe a sigh of relief due to the state's legislature and governor formally recognizing the horrors of their experiences. Mr. MEDARIES, Mr. Patterson, welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Certainly, we're pleased that you're here.
Yep.
Back in the day, when I was in middle school and high school, we knew of the place up in North Florida where boys who got into trouble would be sent to be disciplined. We knew of the place as Marianna or Okeechobee or the Reform School. Supposedly, boys were sent there for many different reasons: criminal behaviors and non-criminal behaviors. None of us were aware of the psychological or physical abuse that was going on up there, nor did we know of the rapes and the possible murders of some of the boys at the facility. To our listeners, brace yourselves for a very interesting and horrific discussion. Mr. MEDARIES, how old were you when you were sent to DOZIER?
I can't remember, but I believe between 14 and 16.
Okay.
I spent a year.
Young teenager. Why were you sent there?
You know, Ray, Mr. Tampa, I only can remember the butt whooping I got. I can't remember why I was sent there, but I do remember I was there.
Okay, we want to recognize the fact that we're talking, what, 50 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, so that's quite understandable. Understandable.
Yes, sir.
You don't remember why you were sent there, but you do remember the butt whooping you got.
And I have proof of that.
Okay, we'll get back to that. Okay. How long were you there?
A year.
Okay, you were there for a year. Did you have any contact with family members while you were there?
No, sir.
No contact at all?
No, sir. And I was there around from 67 to 68.
Okay.
That's 2000. I was 9/20/67 till 2068.
Okay. So you're telling us that during that time, no phone calls, no letters, no visits from family members?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. Same questions to you, Mr. Patterson. Same questions such as, how old were you when you were sent to Okeechobee?
Well, I was 14 years old. I remember the exact date I got there. It was because it was on a Friday, and you know they say something about bad luck on the 13th.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was October 13, 1967, on a Friday.
Wow.
All right. Wow. Now, I was born on the 13th, so I don't go with that bad.
I know. Actually, that's my favorite number.
And my favorite number too. Okay, so since you're so clear about the date you were sent there, why were you sent there?
Well, I was having trouble at home. I was raised by a single parent, and my mother had couple of boyfriends that we didn't get along.
Okay.
So one night actually, he was beating my mother, and I didn't like that, but I couldn't do anything. I'm only 14. But the next day, a couple of my friends and we bombed his car up with bricks. You know, he had a nice car, very nice car.
Okay.
A 1957 Buick, peach colored with the white top. Never forget it. It was a beautiful car. And we broke all the windows in it. So I had to run away from home after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I ran away from home, I slept in a laundromat a couple of times. 24-hour laundromat right there on 18th Avenue off of 22nd near Chapman's Cleaners and all that.
Okay.
But I got hungry. When I got hungry, I went into somebody's business and took some cookies and some drinks, some like Coca-Colas, Pepsis.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously somebody called the police or something, or they may have an alarm in there back then. I don't know. But anyway, the police came as I was coming out of the window, they grabbed me. And so I went to court and they sentenced me to the Okeechobee Florida School for Boys.
Okay. How long were you there?
I was there for 23 months.
23 months.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
In fact, at that time, that was the longest time ever spent in Okeechobee.
Okay.
Wow.
Because I didn't take crap.
Right.
And I kept getting in trouble.
Do either of you want to ask questions at this point?
I'm not at this point, but I understand.
Yeah, all of that's understood. Who's gonna tolerate their mom being beaten?
Yeah.
And you're that young, you go get your boys to do something to that person. That's understood. You run away from home, you gotta eat. That's understood, you know.
I do feel your punishment was severe for just, stealing something because you're hungry. I think that was a little much, but that was back then,
And for a child, that's
that's rough.
I always resented that. I always resented authority for a minute.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
After that.
Yeah. Mr. Medeiros,
Yes, sir.
were you subjected to any abuse while you were at Okeechobee?
Yes, I remember getting a spanking.
A spanking.
Spanking?
That's how you want to classify
Well,
a
It
spanking.
was ass kicking.
Wait. I'm thinking about my grandchildren at the time.
Okay.
Be careful for the grade.
Got an excuse my language. We got an ass whooping. It's way because you couldn't grab your butt or nothing. You just had to be still. Because if you move while they were spanking you, you would get more spanking. It would go longer and longer the more you move. So you had to sit there and take that punishment.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that abuse.
Now, what you're saying is what I've indicated earlier when I was talking about the fact that I watched a newscast and a white gentleman who was up at DOZIER was talking about the abuse he received, where he said that he was whipped in a very, very severe way. Severe way. The guy was whipping him so much, so hard that the guy took a break
Oh, wow.
and started up again and took another break. And instead of hitting him in the back, started hitting him in the back of the legs.
Mm.
It was going on to the point that the gentleman said he was wondering at what point is this going to stop?
Hmm.
At what point is this going to stop? So that's abuse.
It's abuse.
That's
Yes.
severe abuse.
Yes.
So I'll ask this question. Russ, do you have anything you want to ask at this
No,
point?
it's just interesting to listen to this, because I knew of the Dozier history, but this is brand new when you come in, this is real. Yeah.
Well, JP, let's talk about
Yeah.
the ass whooping you received. Talk to us about it.
Well, when I was there, I was pretty considered a bad boy.
Okay.
You know, they had a system, right, Keith?
Right.
Where
Yes, sir.
you work your way out and go home.
Okay.
I think the first one was a scrub.
I believe so.
Yeah, something was a scrub, and then there was a pioneer, and then there was a senior, and then you go home.
Oh.
I never made grub, was it? Not
Grub.
scrub, grub.
Grub.
I never made it past grub for those whole 23 months I was there. They would hog me up and take me to get a whooping for something like smoking a cigarette. You know, we would find cigarette butts on the ground and we would re-roll them. And then there was a technique we had for matches.
Okay.
You take a pencil with an eraser on it, take a paper clip, fold a paper clip like that, stick it through the eraser, and then stick it in a socket, electrical socket.
Oh,
you
wow.
Put cotton on it, and it'll go pop, 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 and then catch fire. Then you light the cigarette.
Oh, wow.
Look at here.
Ingenuity.
For real.
Boy.
So I got caught doing that several times.
Oh, my God.
Mm.
And then stuff like having your shirt out. If your shirt was out, they caught you. Like you have to get in a line to walk to go to eat to chow hall.
Right.
And if your shirt is out, they would pull you out of the line, either write you up, slap you side the head, or either take you to the house to get a whooping.
Wow.
And that's why I don't like my shirt. Today.
Residual
I
effect.
wear mine all the time. I have a suit on one
Residual
time, my shirt out.
Sure down.
Oh, boy.
And so-
Okay.
So they took me to get a whooping one. I remember the very first one. You get immune to it after a couple of times. The first time I went in there, they made me, there's this bed, like a hospital bed. You lay on it. They make you grab the headboard part of it.
Right.
They pull your pants down. You're only in your underwear.
Right.
And then they tell you to look one way and you better not move. You can't look the other way if you look one way. And then they would bring that strap down on you. And the first lick is like fire. It's like your body fire goes through your body. Because that's how hard they come down on you with that strap. And it was a leather strap about maybe an inch or 2 inches thick with a metal piece in between it. Like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some Patterson, so they control the licks, right? So when do they stop? It's up to them?
It's up to them.
Yeah.
It's up to them. It's not like if you steal a piece of candy, you get 10 days in jail.
Exactly.
Or if you rob somebody, you get 10 years in jail. They had no system for how many licks to give you. They just hit you until they get ready to stop.
But just like I said,
And-
the gentleman on TV was saying that he kept getting hit, wondering at what point is this going to stop?
They beat one guy so bad that his underwear was embedded into his buttocks.
Oh,
Wow.
His underwear was embedded into him and bloody. They beat him. And then if you move or try to get, some guys even try to get up and fight back.
Wrong. That was wrong.
That's when you mess up. They will whoop you so bad that you be unrecognizable. It'd be 2 or 3 of them in there and they be whopping them. Bam, but they put the strap down and use their hands.
oh no.
So was it segregated back then or?
They had just stopped the segregation when I went.
Okay.
It was integrated when I first got
For
there.
everybody.
Yeah.
But the whipping and stuff.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, everybody got a whooping.
Yeah, they didn't segregate weapons.
No, they didn't do that.
I think at one point you suggested that at the point you were first entered into the school, you got a whooping as a form of initiation.
Right, that's what I thought. Yes, sir.
Just the fact that you're here, come on, let us whoop you behind.
There you go. There you
Oh,
go.
man.
I really didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything.
That's right.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this question. Did either of you witness other boys suffer abusive behavior? Did you witness other boys get abused?
No, I didn't witness, but they would sure come back and tell you what they
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Mm.
Right.
Did you see anything?
I wasn't actually in the room because you don't be in there. They only
Okay.
put 1 or 2 people in the room, one actually at a time,
Mm.
but you'd be in the hallway lined up to get yours.
There you
Right.
And I remember one time we was in the dormitory. In fact, we were in the same dorm, I think. And we were in the dormitory. And one night, this guy, I'm not gonna call a name, but he was from Miami, and he and another guy hit the night guard and escaped. That was their plan all day.
Mm.
They left, but they caught him.
Mm.
When they caught that guy, man, when he came back, they put him in the hole for a while. The hole is like an isolated cell.
Right, right.
And he came out of there. You know who he was. His face was disfigured.
Oh, no.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I said, wow.
For our audience, if you don't know, there were 2 reform schools, so to speak, up in North Florida. One was in Marianna, Dozier School for Boys, Marianna. And there was one in Okeechobee, Dozier School for Boys, Okeechobee.
Let me correct you on
Yeah.
that. No, it wasn't Dozier School for Boys. It was the
Okeechobee.
Florida School for Boys at Okeechobee, Florida.
Okay, Florida School for Boys in
Right,
Okeechobee.
Right. And the Marianna one was up in Dozier. Dozier School
Dozier
for
and
Boys was in
Marianna.
Marianna.
Okay, like I said, down here, we only knew Dozier, I mean, not Dozier at all.
You knew Marianna.
Marianna, Okeechobee, or simply the Reform School.
Right.
Right.
But God, we had no idea what you all went through up there. No idea.
So they didn't have any oversight, really, right? Like, was there any inspections or oversight back then?
Yeah, they did, but everything was covered up. Say, for instance, some state representatives or some officials from the state would come to visit there to check everything out. Oh, wow, everything is spick and span, and
Yeah, best behavior.
you're treated very nice and extra food, everything.
Oh, wow.
But they knew,
But then
they knew,
when they go,
they knew.
it's back to normal.
They knew.
Russ, you got something?
You know, when I listen to this, I go back and look at slavery, man. How they were handling this. That's what these guys went through,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
you know. It's awful, man.
And that's what I was getting at when I was asking, did you have any contact with your parents? Whether it was visits from your parents, phone calls, letters? Did you have any contact with your parents or your family members? You said no. Did you have any?
I did.
Okay.
No visits. Too far away. Mama ain't got no car.
Okay.
Plus, I done beat up a boyfriend car. And she would send. My mother would send me money on holidays and my birthday,
Okay.
like $5 or $10 to spend in the commissary.
Right.
That was it. No physical visits. A package. I think you can get a package on Christmas with candy and whatever, nuts and stuff. I got that. And that was it. Oh, and letters.
Oh.
I was able to write.
You were able to write.
Oh, yeah. In fact,
Okay.
I used to make money writing letters for people.
Well, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Got a girlfriend and he want to send her something sweet. I had the language for it.
Excellent.
Very good.
I had the language for it. That's 50 cents. You know?
50 cents.
That's right.
All right, let's talk about this. What was a typical day like at Okeechobee? A typical day. You woke up, you went and brushed your teeth, and after that, what was a typical day like? What might you do?
I'll go with that.
Okay.
You get up in the morning at somewhere around 5, 6. You have to get up, and then you use the bathroom. They had a bathroom system with maybe say 10 sinks, 10 commodes, 10 showers, whatever. So you get up, you brush your teeth, and you get dressed. You have to make your bed up, and it has to be made a certain amount, a certain way.
Right.
With the hospital
Oh,
corners.
that's what I call it.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Good,
tucked
still
the
do
pillow
that.
tucked under there,
Oh,
under the thing.
okay.
But if they didn't like it, they would come and rip it off
Mhm.
and tell you to do it over again, or send you to the house to get a whooping. You get a write up. All right. After that, then you go eat breakfast. You line up. Everything was done in a line, just like the military.
That sounds just like the
It was just like the military.
Military.
You get in line and you march to go eat your breakfast, and then you come back. And then one day this is how they had it scheduled. One day you go to work, the next day you go to school.
Mhm.
Okay. And then you get dressed and you eat and you come back. You got about maybe 20, 15, 30 minutes before the bell goes off for you to go to school or work. You hustle off to work, then you take a break at lunch and come back and eat your lunch.
Work, go to work. What type of work are you talking about?
Oh, I was in the laundry.
You
at
were in the
first.
laundry.
When I first got there, they
Okay.
put me in the laundry.
Okay.
That means the facility is huge. It had two sides, the senior side and the junior side,
Okay.
where the older guys are at.
Right.
Okay, that's senior side. Let's say if they got 45 or 50 dormitories with about 30 or 40 kids living in each dormitory. Well, they got sheets, they got pillowcases,
Mhm.
you got the clothes. So they had what they call a laundry basket. You put everything in there at night. And then the laundry guys would come around and pick up each basket on a tractor,
Right.
like a tractor with a trailer on it. In fact, I ended up driving that. That's how I learned how to drive. And you take that to the laundry, and all of that was my work. In other words, what I'm trying to build up and show you that that's a lot of work in that big laundry. It was a huge laundry, and you have to wash all those clothes in the big industrial type of washers and dryers.
Mhm.
And then the sheets would go through what they call a mangle. It goes through and it's irons them. One person on that end, person on this end. You put it through that big machine.
Okay.
They come out on the other end. There's other people that are folding them, putting them in the basket. That was my work. However, they had other jobs there that were like stuff that people get paid for out here in the world, like cattle, hogs, chicken farms. All these are animal farms in produce,
Mhm.
onions, tomatoes, peas, carrots, you name it, produce.
Farming and ranching.
Farming and wow, that's it. Farming and ranch, and the big dairy also. They had a big dairy there where they produced their own milk. And some of that stuff was sold. It wasn't all for the students there or residents there or prisoners there. Some of that stuff was sold out
Mhm.
to the public. So yes, it was a form of slavery.
Yeah.
In fact, when they built the first school in 1911 in Marianna, Jackson County, Florida, the majority, about 90% of those kids that they were rounding up in the communities were Black.
Oh, no doubt.
African-American kids as young as 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old to work those fields.
That's a template for what's going on right now.
Exactly.
With the free labor and goods and services, they're selling stuff, making furniture and shoes. Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's the template for that.
What about your schooling part?
School?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that.
yeah.
I was always an avid reader, so I constantly was reading when I wasn't working or looking at Soul Train. Soul Train had just come out, so they used to let us watch that. Oh, by the way, I'll get back to education in a minute. I'm gonna tell you about the dormitories.
Mhm.
They have what they call cottage fathers, and they call the dormitory a cottage. We were in Robinson Cottage, I believe it was Robinson. Robinson.
Okay.
All the other named out of different things: Jackson, Robinson, Johnson,
Robert.
after some people. So you would have a cottage father, two of them, one for day and one for night. And we had a black one and a white one. The black one used to let us play. He played with us, spades, sit there and we talk crap, cuss each other out while we playing and all that. He was just like a regular cat. And the white guy, he was a little different. He was like cool, set back, laid back.
Right.
Let you do your thing as long as you don't get in no trouble or do anything bad. You know, basketball court right there in the yard, you know, softball field over here, stuff like that. But back to the school, when I was in 8th grade when I left.
You remember?
Yeah, I was in that's right. I was in your homeroom at that time. That's right. And I was in 8th grade. So they start you from whatever grade you left the street from. All right. So I went into that and I always had good grades. I had good grades. Everybody wondered, well, damn, why you drop out of school? How you get into all that old stupid trouble? All right. So I kept my grades up. And after a few months of being there, the teacher who was there, Mr. Hugel, he was the teacher for my classroom where I was in. And my work was always on point. So what he did was made me a teacher's aide. I became a teacher's aide there. And so when I go to class, I just help other people do theirs because 8th grade stuff wasn't nothing for me at that time. When I got out, this is what pissed me off. When I got out, I should have been in the 11th grade.
Right.
Okay.
Well, they said I couldn't go to 11th grade because I had no record of, being in Pinellas County School, so they put me back.
Back where?
In 8th?
Into a different school, a different class.
What grade?
They want to put me back in ninth grade.
You should have been in 11th. They put you back in 9th.
And I quit school then.
Oh,
I dropped out and
man.
went and got a job.
Yeah.
I said, I did go for a few days.
Yeah.
I went for a few days. I said, nah, I can't be with these kids.
Yeah. I
I thought I was grown.
You were the victim of circumstances
You can call it that.
and what you're talking about. Victim of circumstances with your mom and her boyfriend. You
Okay.
didn't cause that. You were a victim of that circumstance.
I
And,
didn't know any better either.
Say that again.
And didn't know any better either,
Okay,
to be
well.
honest.
Because you could have did a whole lot worse than your mama getting beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I'm telling
So
you.
you-
I'm telling you.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, of
That's why-
course. Yeah.
We're nearing the end, probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes at the most. But I want one of you to answer this question for the listeners. What was the White House as it relates to reform school? What was the White House?
Tell them JPU was that long tonight.
The White House was in Marianna.
Okay,
That wasn't in Okeechobee.
okay,
The White House is a building that was constructed, a simple building, constructed where they would do disciplinary acts on the kids when they so-called get in trouble. There were also cells in it. Sometimes you would get in trouble, they would sentence you to 20 days or 30 days in the hole.
which was in the White
In the
Building.
White House too
The White
also,
House,
right.
okay.
But I've only heard about that. I wasn't there. But in Chobit, they built them the same way. The system was the same.
Right.
But the one in Okeechobee just didn't have a name to it.
Right.
They didn't call it the White House. They just called it. I think it did have a name, but I can't remember what it was.
White House.
It wasn't the White House though. White House was in Marianna.
Was there air conditioning back then? Y'all had air conditioning rooms back then?
No. That Florida sun,
It's-
that South
way.
Florida sun,
No
man,
way.
burn you
No
up.
way.
My
I'm
God.
saying inside. That's what I was
Now they
saying,
had
inside,
a big,
you know?
they had
Fans.
fans,
Yeah.
those industrial fans.
Mhm.
In fact, I've heard in Marianna where the White House is there, that they would actually literally turn that fan on so you don't hear the kids scream.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
as I stated earlier, we're at the end, only a 30-minute show, a lot of information here. We certainly appreciate our guests,
Thanks
Mr.
for having me.
MEDARIES and Mr. Patterson.
Glad.
You all have done a great job in explaining the
Mm.
horrors of Okeechobee and Marianna.
Mm.
Not good at all. And with that being said, thanks for being here. Thanks to my
My pleasure.
co-hosts
My
for the
pleasure.
job
My
well
pleasure.
done each and every week. We want to thank our listeners for tuning in to the Ray Tampa podcast each and every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. on 99.1 FM, The Bird. With all that being said, good evening.